Okay, in this video we're going to go over downloading and installing Chromium, the base browser for most of the browsers everybody uses today. Google Chrome runs on Chromium. Firefox now runs on Chromium. Opera runs on Chromium. SlimJet, which is blank, which is Chromium. Most of the settings look the same in any Chromium browser except for Firefox. They're probably the most different. Opera, they're pretty close, but today we're going to go over Chromium. When you download Chromium, it's going to install into your user app data local. Lots of antiviruses, not to say lots of them, AVG and Avast, free and pro, will say virus, virus, virus. It's not a virus. You can download it from their site. You can scan it. You can check it. I've been using it for a few years. Never had a problem with it. But they do try to install Google Chrome every time they do anything. They update their database, they update to a new version, and Avast and AVG have the little box, and you look at it, it's like a 6 font on the bottom. If you don't uncheck it, you end up with Google Chrome on your system, which you just never want. So that, I think, is the only two antiviruses you have a problem with. I've sent in the file a bunch of times to both of them because I have the pro versions of both. But they just keep saying, oh, risky, risky. Good antivirus. Kaspersky, Panda, Norton's normally will ask saying it's unknown, and you can submit it to them saying it, hey, it's okay, it's a good file. You can submit it to them to have them check it if you want before you install it and check it, and it'll still be a good file. All right, so here's the system information on my system that I usually have up in every video. This is Notepad QQ. It's Notepad++ for Windows. I'm using OBS Studio to make the video. It's great open source software, which of course means it's free, but you can donate. And if you like the software, you should always donate to open source to keep it open source. Here's some of the places you can get Chromium. My sites, their sites. If you're in Linux at Noon, you have the Software Center, you can get it from there. If you're in 18.4 or 17, the Software Center is gone. They give you some other thing that's not that good. Then just go to your terminal, use a terminal window and just type in these, or actually if you take a screenshot, you'll have to type them in. I'll try and put these in the notes below so you can copy and paste. You can copy and paste to install it. Alright, I'm going to show you installing it in Windows 8 in a virtual machine and going through the process of putting in FVD Speed Dial, which is the background here on my browser. This is Chromium. This, I have a dark theme on it on the Chromium browser. I don't do a lot of add-ons. There are tons of them. You can put whatever you like in, but I'm going to show you how to install the Chromium browser, go through the settings, how to put in your FVD Speed Dial, Adblocker, LastPass, and Read Aloud. So let's go over to the virtual machine, which I'm doing with VirtualBox. Again, open source and free. I know VMware has a free player and it might be a little better than VirtualBox because VirtualBox does have some glitches with 3D graphics. Okay, so first of all, you need to download the browser. You can download it from my site, and on the top menu, either on the front page or on the top menu, go to Downloads and Internet Browsers. Kind of easy. I usually do benchmarks every 2 to 3 versions of the browsers to show you which ones are the fastest, what their speeds are. Everybody's number will be different according to their computers. I have some friends that Chromium in Linux is far past 2000. But this is just average settings, everyday settings on my system, nothing crazy. But it lets you know kind of the speeds. I did get thrown under the bus about Edge. People telling me I didn't have the newest version of Windows 10 Pro and that's why it was so slow. So I got the newest version of Edge and the newest version of Windows 10, and it got to 150 or 160 points, even lower score. But they are talking about switching Edge to Chromium, then it'll become a real browser. Firefox used to score down here in the 400 or 500s, and since it went Chromium based, it's gotten pretty high, almost doubled its speed. So scroll down. If you get it from my site and you want to just download this one, 64-bit, if you have a 64-bit system, most people do, that's going to be the better one. If you want to go to their site, this is their site where they make the browser. Same thing, it'll usually have your operating system right on the top. If I did this on Linux, it'd show Linux. If I did on 32-bit Windows, it usually shows 32-bit. you want to do the installer if you're going to use any kind of streaming like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, those type of things. Works great in Windows. Chromium Linux cannot stream Netflix. It will stream Amazon. I don't have Hulu, so I don't know if it'll do Hulu or not. It has all the DRM and every settings in it, even the Linux version does, but for some reason, it just will not. And when you go to Netflix to play a movie, it'll tell you to download Google Chrome. It's the only thing that works in here, which of course is not true. In Linux, Firefox can stream Netflix perfectly. It streams everything else too, but only Netflix only works in Firefox and Linux. Um, Amazon Prime works in Chromium, works in SlimJet, works in Opera. For some reason, it's just Netflix. I don't know what it is. So I'm going to download it from my site just to show you the download in SlimJet. This is a SlimJet browser, which I will do a video on in the future. I like this because it has turbo download where you can abuse a site. You can set this up to 12, I believe, right here. It's on 10 right now, but I just put it on 10, but some sites won't allow it. You may have to drop it to 1. To be nice, you can put it on 5. It's how many times it'll connect to the site, and it'll make it download very fast. If you're downloading a Linux distro or a Windows ISO, any big file, this browser kicks everybody's butt. It downloads so freaking fast. Now 10 is kind of abusive, but this is my site, so I don't care. I'll abuse my own site. So we'll go ahead and set download on that. That'll probably put 2 of them in the download folder. And you see how it'll go very fast. And depending on which site it is and what their download speeds are, it might even get faster. I think that downloading from most Linux distros and Microsoft Windows 10 or 8 ISOs, or I don't think you can get 8s anymore, but it's their 10 junk, it comes down 22 megabytes per second, I think. So let's close that one down. And yes, we have 2, so we'll delete that extra one. You can just double click on this, or you can right click run as admin. This is Windows 8. I like 7 and 8, 8.1 and 10, pretty much I don't want anything to do with them. I do have them installed for testing, but they are garbage. So if you right click and run as administrator, like I said, AVG and advanced will a lot of times delete the file and tell you it's a virus. Oh my God, but they're just full of crap. Good antivirus will tell you, do you trust this file? And you say, yes, I trust it. Go ahead and install. So I'm going to right click and run as administrator. Doesn't take too long to install. This is a virtual machine. Keep that in mind. And I do have 3D graphics disabled because it gets glitchy. But it doesn't take too long even on this one. Then this will open up once it's installed. This is a blank browser. I went with this so I could show everybody how to do it. It's their start page. You can sign into Google if you like. But nah, not going to go there. So we'll just go right to settings, which is on every browser about the same. They're over here. They used to be on the right-hand side, left-hand side. I think Opera is still right, left-hand side. It'll be 3 dots or 3 lines, something that's like mobile compatible because so many people do everything on their phone on the internet. Not. Okay, so we're going to start up by moving the zoom up, just so when I go to the settings, it's easier for everybody to see. So we're going to move this up to some ridiculously large 150 size. Then we're going to go to settings. Now, most of these things I shut off. I'm not a Google lover. I don't think Google needs any more information on me or more information on anybody. But I know a lot of people are out there, they feel bad. Google's a small company, they're struggling, they barely can buy lunch, so they like to give them all their data so they can sell it for a couple of bucks. But first thing I do is go in here and turn all these things off because I'm not syncing anything with Google services. And name and picture, that's up here. If you want to change that picture, upload your own picture because you want to look at yourself in your browser, that's up to you. Or you can just pick one of their default pictures in here. I don't put anything in there. And then over here, import bookmarks and settings, I'm not going to do because I'm going to use FVD Speed Dial and Eversync for that. Passwords, yeah, no, never going to let my browser save my passwords or do auto sign in. I never do that and never would, and I don't think anybody should. Now, I'm not saying the browser is bad, because the browsers are pretty good, and these guys spend a lot of time developing these browsers and making them safe. But for every 2 hours they spend making you safe, there's a hacker out there spending 20 hours trying to get your stuff. So I don't keep anything in the browser. I turn off all of this stuff because I'm going to add LastPass, and I save everything in LastPass. It seems a lot safer to me. It's two-part encryption. You have to read up on it, but it's a good password vault. Themes, as you saw on my Linux version, I'm using a dark theme. You can go here, there are hundreds of themes. You can pick any theme, pictures, colors, I don't know, rainbows, fireworks, you name it, they got it. I like the home button up here, so I'm going to enable that. I like the bookmarks bar, so I'm going to enable that. Some people don't like the bookmarks bar. They're like, oh no, the bookmarks bar takes up so much on my screen and I can't see anything. Those are the same people that have 755 icons on their desktop, but they're worried about their bookmarks bar. Right. So we're going to stay here. We're going to zoom this right now into 150, so everything I do in here is big so that everybody can see it really easy on this video. And I go right here to the search engines and I get rid of that garbage Google, because Google doesn't really have a search engine, and they put a lot of articles out, but I guess people don't read, that says Google AI in search. And what that means is you search for something and then Google's AI figures out what you were really searching for, and that's the results you get. So 99.99999% of the time you're going to get results for whoever paid Google the most, because that's how they roll. So if you want good accuracy, we'll go with Bing or DuckDuckGo. Yes, Bing is better than Google. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. If you want privacy, DuckDuckGo. So DuckDuckGo is usually my search engine that I prefer. Then I go to Manage Search Engines, and the first thing I do is dump this one, just so it never gets used even on accident. Somebody comes over and they try to search and they put Google in my system, and next thing you know, it's a mess. All right, so then we're going to go down to Advanced. I'm going to go over this right now. I always check that one. Even after I put in the FVD Speed Dial or anything you want, I like my browser to reopen where I closed it, because sometimes I've got 20, 30, 40 sites open, reading different stuff that's not important, that nobody needs to know but me or are interested in. Right here, allow Chromium sign in. If you sign into your browser right up here, then Google will sign into all the Google stuff for you. And I mean, so like I said, Google doesn't have a lot of money, and they need a lot of data, because if they're going to make money, they got to sell something, and it's going to be your stuff. So you can leave that sign in. I'm going to turn it off, and I do. And then it's going to tell you relaunch. But since we said to come right back to where we were, it should go right back there, and it did, so that's pretty easy. Then we're going to go back to Advanced. Then down here, allow sites to check my payment methods. Nah, sites don't need to check anything on me. Send do not track. This is a yes and no. I do like that on mine particularly, but they will warn you that some sites won't let you in there if you can't track them. If they can't track you, especially banks. If you're doing your banking online, a lot of banks won't let you in if they can't see your IP address and see where you're coming from. And it's your protection, kind of, and their data mining, kind of, because if you typically log in from your house in wherever it might be, and then somebody logs into your bank account from the other side of the world, the bank's going to know there's a problem. Then preload pages for faster browsing, I usually leave that one. Then content settings, and this one is usually a mess. So there's so many things in here. Under cookies, you have to allow most sites to hold cookies, because if you don't, they're not going to let you in. But you can block the third-party cookies. So you're on a site and there's an ad displaying on the side of the site because it's a site that makes a revenue off of ads. It would be better if they just gave you a choice to crypto mine when you were there and there were no ads. I would totally do that every time. But you can block the third-party cookies installed by maybe an ad or something else on the site. And that's usually a good idea. So then down here, camera, I'm going to turn that off, because I really don't think my browser needs to use my camera and a microphone. I'm going to turn that off. Not to say that they would turn the browser, the camera or the microphone on without asking you. Let's see, who got busted in all those countries? Was it Facebook? and iPhones that were turning people's mics and cameras on without them knowing and listening and watching. How creepy is that, folks? So I'm blocking that. I mean, you may use that on some kind of a site, I don't know, Google Talk or Facebook Talk or something, but I don't know. I don't use those. I don't use those sites. So I have no idea. About the only Google thing I have is YouTube. And I only have a Gmail because Google would not let me keep my YouTube original login, and I had to get a Gmail that I've never ever checked once and never intend to. Okay, notifications. This is the little annoying thing that pops up in the bottom of your screen even when your browser's closed. So let's say Ted's dog bit Susie's cat on Facebook. It pops up and tells you. Susie's cat left the country and defected to Russia. Pops up on the bottom. You went to a site and looked at a tennis shoe. Now that tennis shoe is on sale and you're somewhere else. That pops up on the bottom. Hey, the tennis shoe you looked at 3 days ago is on sale. Want to buy it? I don't like notifications. I don't see any value in them, and I know everybody always says turn my notifications on. If I do anything or you're watching my YouTube, you can feel totally free. Subscribe, I am happy. Like, I am happy. You do not have to turn on notifications because they annoy me, and I would ask you not to turn them on. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just block all notifications because I don't want those things popping up, or the ones that are really bad that pop up and go up the whole side of the screen. You're doing everything you can to click them off. Then pretty soon you take your monitor, you throw it off a cliff, and you're really upset. I normally leave JavaScript allowed because lots and lots of sites use JavaScript. Flash, I block for a couple of reasons. One, because it's got a lot of security risks. Two, it's going away, I believe, at the end of this year. Shockwave is gone next month. HTML5 has been out for a decade, which can do everything Flash does. So, I mean, really, seriously, people, let's catch up a little bit. So I just disable that Flash, and if a site's heavy Flash site, oh well. Images, okay. Now, pop-ups and redirects, that's something you kind of want to look at carefully, because if you leave it blocked, it's a good thing. You're thinking, oh, no pop-ups, no redirects. But a lot of sites use a pop-up redirect box to let you log in. So I can think of a few of them offhand, but I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, so I'm not going to put any names in there. But if you have that blocked and that site has that type of a login, you won't be able to log in because nothing will pop up and it will drive you out of your mind. You can leave it blocked and go in there and add the sites manually to allow a pop-up from that site if you know that that site has a pop-up login, or you can just turn it on and use an actual ad blocker that works better anyways. Background sync of recently closed websites. I always disable that. That's so like you're on your Facebook and then you close your browser, or you're on something else and you close your browser, they can finish sending and receiving data. Theoretically, only the data you looked at, but you know, they get busted a lot for that data mine and spyware stuff, so I say just shut that off. When my browser's closed, it's closed. Nothing needs to be running in the background. So we just disable that one. Automatic downloads. It's just when a site's trying to download something you haven't done, it'll warn you and ask first, because maybe you downloaded something and it's a 2-part or a 3-part, so that's okay to just leave it on as it is. Unsandbox plugins, access, all of these default settings are pretty good. Zoom levels, that's what we're on right now. USB devices to access can your site access your USB device? Ask is safe. You could say block. I mean, they don't really need to look at my USB device. PDF documents. Now, I always download those, and I think it's a really good idea not to open those up in your browser, because if you download them and you have good antivirus, it can scan the PDF and see if it's got nasties. If you open it in the browser, maybe you've got your antivirus add-on in your browser and it's scanning it in your browser, and maybe you don't because you didn't put it there because it's annoying. Then you could get some nasties in the browser. So to be on the safe side, it's always better, if you have the patience, just download that PDF document. Payment handlers allow sites to do that. That's fine. Protected content. This is where if you want to play Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, all those type of things, if you don't have that enabled, they won't play. And even if you enable that in your Linux browser, Netflix still won't play. So you should probably use that one and leave that one enabled. All right, so now we're all through the content settings. Now you go back over again to your regular settings. Language, you just pick the language you want. Usually, oh look, it's got no languages in there. So you can add a language, whatever your language is. I won't bother doing that because it's a waste of time, but I'll put it in there later. And then downloads, wherever you want your downloads to go. I usually have every browser set to ask me because maybe I'm putting the downloads folder, maybe I'm sticking the software folder, maybe I'm putting it anywhere but my desktop. Trust me. And then the rest of this stuff is just pretty easy to do. Continue running apps in Chromium is closed. I say no. Hardware acceleration if available. Yes, that will make your browsing experience faster. If you have a laptop and you're running on battery and you have a graphics chip, you might want to turn that off because that could actually make your browser slower. But if you're on a desktop or you're on a laptop with a video card or a laptop with a strong battery, leave it enabled because it will go faster. So try never to hit that even after your browser setup because it will drive you to drink. So now we're going to close that default tab. We're going to go over here to apps. It's going to go to the web store. It is going to be Google, so don't have a heart attack. And I still have it way magnified, so I'll bring it over here. We're going to search for FVD Speed Dial. Now, the FVD Speed Dial is what I showed you on my first browser, and you can sync that across God knows how many browsers and operating systems between any distro of Linux, any version of Windows, Macintosh. So if you have different systems like I do, and you always want to have your same bookmarks or speed dials on every one of them, this thing is so valuable and so great. Now it works in all of the browsers that are Chromium based except for Opera. Opera has taken it out of their extension store. You can put Eversync in there, which is completely worthless without this. But they block it because Opera has their own new tab page that they prefer you use. It's loaded with God knows what, because there's a reason they really love that new tab page. And it's just not that good. So I do know how to put this into Opera if you mistakenly uninstalled your Opera or refreshed it. And I'll do that in the Opera video. So for right now, we're going to add this to Chrome. Most all the browsers are going to pop up something that says install now, add to, add extension. So you just hit add. As long as it's the extension you wanted, it's going to jump over there. Then you want to hit this one that says keep changes. And we'll go back over to here. We're going to add Eversync. This is how you sync your bookmarks and your speed dial across all your browsers. Now we're going to go over here to the web store and we're going to put in Adblock Plus, I believe it is. And it might be Adblocker Pro in some of the other browsers, but you'll just have to look at the other videos to see. So we'll put that in, and of course everything you install wants to open up in their tab. Then after Adblocker Plus, we're going to put in Read Aloud, which is really cool, and I'll go over that in this video. It's especially if you have to have your video this size, your browser this size to see it. It will read a page, and it's actually really good at reading a whole page and not everything in the page like dot, star, space, which can get a little annoying. You can highlight text and read text. It has a lot of options. I'll go over that later on in the video. As far as selecting a voice, selecting language, all kinds of stuff. And then our last one is LastPass. Yeah, we'll put LastPass last. Add to Chrome. And this is what I use for all my passwords. It's great. Now, most of all these things have free and pro. I use the Pro Eversync because I abuse it. I use the Pro LastPass because I abuse it. I have 300-400 logins, plus I keep a lot of encrypted things in there. Nothing too important. I keep that in Veracrypt, which I did a video on already. So now we're all done in the store. We got all the stuff we want. We're going to go over to our speed dial. We're going to close this one. And we're going to go into settings. Now this is the default fancy look. I don't particularly like it just because it eats up a lot of screen real estate that I'm not happy about. So we're going to go to settings. We're going to go under here in the settings. You can leave restore previous session button on there. I don't because I usually have my browser set to open up where I left off. I turn that off, I turn that off, I turn that off. I select this so that when I open up a new tab, I click a dial, it comes over here to the right in a new tab. I say speed dial. Pretty much that's it there. Appearance. I turn off the search. You can leave it on if you want. It's going to change once you take it off of fancy because I use standard just so I can get more dials, and we're definitely putting them down to 150 at this zoom. I put show icons and titles above dials. Of course, when you do that, I say apply changes. It's going to put the URLs in there anyways, and you normally have to come back and uncheck that one again. I use a white background because it works better with the dials that I make. The rest of this you can leave checked. You can go over here and you can go to, there should be another setting there, there it is, display popular group, take that off. I normally go to my default, but you can leave it on the last group you used. Then over here is your colors and your picture. If you want to add a picture, you can upload a picture and put one there from a local file. Make any picture you want the background on your browser, your kids, your grandkids, your dog, your cat, your fish, whatever you like. And or I just always put color in there. Normally I always just go black on the background and go there, and then I'll say apply changes to make sure that it actually stays black. And go over here for the text color. The text color, you can change all of these. Normally I change them all the same, but any box you click in will give you this. And most of mine are green, so I'll just go over here to some type of green, pull it down a little bit, and that'll be the color of the text. Now I'll say apply changes, then I'll go to close and see how it looks. Okay, it didn't put the URLs under the dials. That's a good sign. But you notice the background? I must have forgot to turn off the background. So we'll go over here and make sure that I have this on no image and say apply and then close. Now I got a black background, and let's just delete that piece of garbage. Yeah, bye-bye. So then you can use Eversync and you can sync in what you have, and I'm going to show you how that works real quick. Let me pull this over here and get test one I made up here to download stuff in, and we're going to go back in here. We're going to go back to Eversync. Now you can set up a free account. You can stay register or you can log in. If you register a new account, you can use a real email address or you can use any email address that you want. It's basically whatever you want to put in there. So this is just a blank one here that I made up, and so we'll put it in, and if anybody wants to spam my email, that one doesn't exist. You can put whoever you want it, whatever you want. So we're going to go log in. Oh, wrong password. That's not right. I don't know what I did there, so let's go with a different one. I don't know what I changed the password to on that one. And we'll go with this one. I don't really know what speed dials are in this one, but we'll go ahead and just put it in there. Okay, that one logged in. So then what you do is you go to your speed dial or you go to your bookmarks. I'm just going to do the bookmarks because that's very quick. And I'll do speed dial second, but we won't stay and watch it because it lies. Go to bookmarks and you say download to overwrite local data, and that'll bring all your bookmarks in. See all the top bookmarks up here? Boom, just like that. And then you go to speed dial, and speed dial will tell you it's 10 to 40 seconds, but depending on how many dials you have, like my personal browser, takes about 9 or 10 minutes. And you say download to overwrite local data. Now when you're going to, once you have your browser set up and your speed dial set up, and you want to do add things, if you want to add anything, or if you do one browser and you set up all your speed dial and you want to sync the other ones, go to the one you set up and say upload and overwrite the server data. Then go to the new browsers and download it. Then they'll all be in sync. And as long as you keep that little box checked right there, it'll keep them in sync. Now, I don't want to sync this one, so I'm just going to log out of that one because some temporary account I got set up. And I don't even know what it actually did, what speed dial it loaded on there. So now we're going to close that one, and it started out on builds. This must be an empty speed dial I made. So you can go here, go back under your little house and tell it to go to default and say apply changes and say close. So this must be a speed dial that I made that's just empty for people, and it has just these few tabs on it. So that pretty much tells you everything how this works. I'm going to show you how the Read Aloud works. Now if you click on it, see how it's got settings right there? Cannot access Chrome extension, blah blah blah. Okay, if you go right there, you can select the voice, and there's a whole bunch of voices in there. You can just go crazy. Now, if you go crazy and you pick different voices, the premium voice, I'm guess, costs money. If you pick these voices, these are translate. So if you go to a site, and let's say you pick German, let's just do that because it's fun. And we'll say OK. And then we'll go over here to this site because that's one of my sites, and I know it's got text on the front page. And it just so happens the lady that wrote that text is from Germany. So how funny would that be? You can select this and right click on it and say read aloud. It will read that text in German. Now if you selected your language, even if you don't read that language, let's say I'm on one of her sites and it's all in German and I have selected English, I can go select the German text and have English in that, and it'll read the German text to me in English. Now of course, like every translation, it's not 100% perfect, but hey, it works pretty good, and it's a lot easier than having it convert the page or copying and pasting it. You can just select it and it'll read it to you in English or read it to you in your language, no matter which language is written on the page. So it's a really good add-on. It works in Chromium, SlimJet, Firefox. Does not work in Opera. Opera has different text-to-speech. They don't have that one yet. I haven't found one in Opera that works as well as this one. I like it because of the voices you can select. I like it because of the languages you can select. And I like the fact that if you just click on it, like right now, it'll start reading this page, but it doesn't read like all of this stuff up here, like happy as is, sign in, sign up, blah, blah, blah. It will actually start reading the text, like right here. It'll read her name, and then it'll start reading what she posted about this. So it's a pretty good add-on. LastPass, you just have to sign in or create an account. If you create an account, for God's sakes, don't forget your password. And make your password at least 16 characters or more if you can remember that many. And don't forget it. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. If you forget it, you're never getting that step back. You have to make a new account. But once you have that and you sign into any site, you can see the little box over here. That's the LastPass box. Once you've signed into a site, it will ask you, do you want to save that login? A little box will drop down over here. And you say yes, save the login. Then next time you go back, LastPass will either fill it out or there'll be a 1 in there. And if you click on the little black box, then it'll tell you that you have a login. Would you like to fill it out? And you can. And it does work on most pop-up logins too. There's a new version out today. I haven't really checked that one, but it's hit and miss. If it doesn't fill in a box, once you're signed in, you click this and you'll see a site that looks like it, and it'll say, one login for this site. You can click on that, then say copy username, copy password, and paste it in. So how good is that? And the ad blocker says blocking 15 ads on this site, but my sites have no ads, no Google Analytics, no garbage, nothing. This is the ads being put on from posts. Oh God, I made that post and it's got something in there. So it's blocking everything there. So let's go ahead and close this down, and we'll head back over to Linux and go over a couple more things. This is how your speed dial can look, as many as you want. If you want to move them, drag, drop, put it anywhere you want. Take it to a new tab. When the tab is highlighted, you just let go of your left mouse button and it'll drop it. Works the same in Linux, Windows, Mac, doesn't matter. If you want to shift them around, if you want to change the pictures, different sites have different pictures. You right click on it. Oh, let me move my magnification up here so you guys can see what I'm doing. God, that 150 is enormous. Okay, so you can right click on it, say edit, and then you can pick any picture. And any of these pictures are made by anyone. You can make pictures if you like and upload them. And once you make them and upload them, for everybody but Google and YouTube for some reason, I made some pretty nice spy pictures for Google and they never stay up there. But if you go to a site and it's a site you like and use it a lot and it doesn't have one, you don't want it loading the site each time it refreshes, you can make your own picture. So like script text, you can make your own picture. If you're going to add a site to your speed dial, it's very easy. I'm going to open up this site. This is a great site for any kind of tech support help, just in case you guys are wondering. Once you're on a site that you like and you want to add it to your speed dial, or maybe it's a news site, you can make a speed dial tab that says temp. You right click on any page, go to your FVD speed dial, and then just add it to any of the tabs that you have or any of the tabs you created, and it'll automatically add the dial to that page. We'll close that down. We'll just go back over here. And if you want to add a new tab, I've got a few here because you just go to the plus and you can write it in the name and you can put it at the top, the bottom. You can modify the group. Let's see, I think it's a right click on there, or right click, there it is. And you can modify it, you can change where it goes, you can change the dials, and if you do that, if you manage groups, you can move them around in the order that you want them in, alphabetic or by the ones you use the most, whatever works for you. And then you're set up. You got your speed dial, your Eversync, your ad blocker, your LastPass, your Read Aloud. You can sign into your browser and stay signed in with your Google stuff if you like, and then Google can do everything they want for you. Choose anything you want for your browser, background for your browser. I think I've covered everything. If I've missed something, please just ask me a question in the comments, and I will try to answer it for you as quickly as possible. Thank you for watching.